Hello friends, good evening. My name is Akash Sanjay Khobragade. I am a coordinator at Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge and PhD scholar at Delhi University. Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge is founded by Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir, and his idea behind the institution is to provide academic space to the social scientists, scholars and doctors who are engaged in the field of Dalit studies. Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge going to have its 18th lecture today, and this is a lecture is a part of a series which we started on 2020 in 14th of April 2025 on the occasion of Dr. Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Jayanti. Professor Dr. Karunyakara sir going to chair this session, but due to some technical reason he is he's not here right now, but he's going to join soon. So I request Dr. Darshana Mishram to please introduce Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir. Your voice is, you are on mute, Dr. Darshana.
Thank you, Akash. I am Dr. Darshana Mishram, teaching sociology at Yashwant College, District Wardha, and coordinator of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara is a former Vice Chancellor and founder of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. He is the author of The History of Dalit Identity and Modernization of Buddhism. After completing his PhD from JNU, New Delhi, Dr. Karunyakara joined as assistant professor in the School of Ambedkar Studies, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Center University, Lucknow. He introduced the Dalit history course in the MA history program. He was instrumental in introducing 50% reservation for SC/ST students in the BBAU admissions. He founded Ambedkar University Dalit Students Union in 2000 and Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Center University SC/ST Teachers Association in 2006. He joined as director cum professor in the Babasaheb Ambedkar Sidho Kanu Murmu Dalit and Tribal Studies Center, Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalay. He held post of Dean of School of Culture and former Vice Chancellor of the University. This is a brief introduction of the respected chair. Please welcome sir to this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Darshana. Today we have a very eminent scholar who are going to today's lecture, and to introduce and welcome him, I request Ms. Suhas Kamlakar to introduce and welcome Professor.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So we have a very eminent speaker with us today. So Professor Vibhuti Bhushan Malik is a professor of sociology at Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. He was a former Dean of Ambedkar School of Social Sciences. He has 26 years of academic experience working on different positions like head and chairperson. The books published, there are certain books published by him, which I'll be quoting. Poverty in India, some fundamental issues, a social science perspective, social ecology of forest resources, a study of a tribal region of Orissa. He wrote 18 chapters in different edited books, 25 manuscript project proposals, published 3 papers in international seminar proceedings, 36 research papers articles, 11 book reviews. He was honored with many academic and social on social platforms, including book publishing books, published National Education Excellence Award by National Educational Development Council Patna on 7th December 2024, awarded Dr. Bhimrao, Dr. Ambedkar Fellowship National Award 2021 in 37th National Congress of Dalit Writers, Delhi by Bharatiya Dalit Sahitya Academy on 11-12 December 2021. Social Scientist Award National Webinar on Changing Dimensions of Caste System in India Society organized by Badlav Sansthan, Udaipur on 6th December 2020. We warmly welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Suhas. So Really, it's an honor that Professor Vibhuti V. Malik was going to deliver today his lecture. And he's going to deliver his lecture on understanding social inclusion, social exclusion and inclusion. So I request Professor Malik sir to please deliver his lecture.
Yeah. Thank you very much, friends, and very warm welcome to all of you to this online lecture series, which has been started by my friend Professor Karunyakara. And it's an honor to meet all of you here and speak on certain ideas about social exclusion and inclusion, the concepts and causes and solutions pertaining to marginalized communities. I think I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much, dear. At the very outset, I would like to thank my friend, Professor Karunyakara, to invite me to this particular online lecture series. Because I generally follow his lecture series, and there are many eminent scholars have spoken on different issues and aspects of society, economy, history, polity, and so on and so forth. So in that continuation, I am here to come up with my ideas about social exclusion. What is called social exclusion? How do you conceptualize the term social exclusion? This is the first thing which I am going to deal with. Then I'll be coming to the other aspect of it. When you talk about social exclusion, is a multi-dimensional process of progressive social rupture. What does it mean when I say that social exclusion is multidimensional? Number one, it is a process. Number two, number three, it is a progressive social rupture. These are the three important points I'm trying to make while talking about social exclusion. The first point is it is a multi-dimensional concept. When you say that social exclusion is multidimensional, it means you have to understand it from different angles, from different point of view, from different perspective, and by looking at different ways. It is not that in a single manner, because the exclusion process is a complex in nature. When you say that social exclusion is a complex in nature, so to understand exclusion also requires a multidimensional aspects or multidimensional ways to look at social exclusion. I'll in due course of my lecture, I think this concept will be much more clear. Secondly, social exclusion concept is a process. That means process is ongoing. At times, this process is at the time of history. This process is time of present society. And when you say that a perpetual continuity from history to present society, so it becomes a process. Secondly, when you talk about social exclusion is a process, I mean to say that this process is also need to be understood in context of time, in context of situation, in context of societies. So process means it's a continuous process, and it is subjected to many situations and context and many factors which is also affecting it. So it is a process. Thirdly, I have said is a progressive social rupture. Means when you make a reference to this, that society is from a from historical context to today's context. For example, I'll bring example. For example, Andre Beti in his studies of Tanjore village, the book name is Caste, Class and Power. What he refers, he brings these three concepts called caste, class and power. I'm just trying to make the concept the process, social process. So caste, class and power in Tanjore village, he talks about how legislations has brought change in society, how new adult franchise has brought change in society, and therefore the people, those who are the panchayat heads in earlier days, nowadays their power has diminished, and specifically the people, those who have minimum land, they are in a position to occupy the positions, are becoming panchayat presidents. So it means it is a process. This process is being influenced by adult franchise. It is being influenced by legislations. It is being influenced by other constitutional provision which has been created. So therefore, in the process, if you talk about the specifically Andhra Betes, or if you refer to Andhra Betes study of caste, class and power, that means a section of society, specifically the people living is in palas. So now they are gaining political power because it is inclusive in nature. So the process is continuous, and it is being influenced by, or it is being guided by many factors, as I have given the examples. What is the consequences of it? Because when you talk about social exclusion, then this multidimensional process of progressive social rupture detached a group and individuals from social relations, institutions, and prevent them from full participations. That means in the normal, normatively prescribed activities of society in which they live. That means when you live in a particular society, but you are detached to participate to some extent, or to a normal extent, because of certain factors. The factor may be caste, the factor may be gender, the factor may be ethnicity, and so on and so forth. So the point here is this multidimensional process of progressive social rupture. It tries to detach a particular group or individual from social relationship, from its institutions, and it prevents them to participate in the normal and normatively prescribed activities of the society. So this is the concept which is given by Hillary in 2007 in his writing called Social Exclusion. If you move little further, when you talk about social exclusion, it is a relatively new concept, and it cannot be understood by taking only a single phenomena, because the process of social exclusion is a complex situation. So it involves complexity of the phenomena. So if you try to study or find out about social exclusion, it talks about not only the economic life, but also more multidimensional characters. That means social exclusion involves multidimensional characters beyond economy, beyond poverty. So when you say that it's a multidimensional concept, it's related to a relative position of an individual or a group. That means the position of an individual in entire society. That means a particular individual enjoys a position in society. So I'll be talking about Indian society a little later, but certainly occupying position in society also has an angle to look at the positions, and it has a link with historicity, and it has a link with other societal aspects wherein you can locate, or wherein you can see social exclusion. So, in a nutshell, what exactly I would like to say that in each type of societal disadvantage can cause social exclusion. Any kind of social disadvantage cause social exclusion. It means exclusion is conceptualized through different social processes, which I have already given the example, and dimension of everyday life. That means in a everyday life situation, you are influenced by the processes of society or any kind of disadvantages you face. That disadvantages also cause social exclusion. So therefore, exclusion is conceptualized through different social processes and dimensions of everyday life. That means what are the dimensions are there in everyday life? It influences the nuances of social exclusion. So therefore, if you talk about everyday life situations, it can be called as the dimensions are economic dimensions, the dimensions are cultural dimensions, the dimensions are political, the dimensions are mental disability, the dimensions are geographical, political, and institutional. So, in such a dimensions, you can locate the process of social exclusion in a society. I'll be talking about all these aspects, little details with certain elaborations by which these points will be clear to you. When you talk about this social exclusion, uh, it can be called as it is the outcome of complex social processes and not the result of poverty alone. So, social exclusion should not be or cannot be understood as a cause of poverty alone, rather, it is influenced or it is conceptualized through multidimensional factors and multidimensional aspects involved to understand social exclusion. So, when you talk about social exclusion, it should be understood in the framework of social structure. What does it mean when I mean to say that social exclusion need to be understood in the context of social structure? Basically, social structure, then the question arises, what is called a social structure? In a strict sense of sociology, when you say that social structure, it certainly talks about the units. The society has many layers, society has many units, sociology has subunits, society has subunits. And how does these units, are linked together? How does this links, how does this units and subunits are related to each other? And in that or structure, you can see that social structure means how these different aspects of system system or units are related and interrelated. What does it mean when I mean to say this? I mean to say that these, when you say about system or when you talk structure, the structure and systems are dependent on the linkages between units or subunits, and how does these units and subunits are related, organized in an ordered manner. So that is called social structure. So what I'm arguing here, that if you talk about to social exclusion, you must try to understand it from social structure point of systems plays vital role. What are these subsystems of social structure? These subsystems are political, democratic powers and privileges, are part of social system, but they all are part of the entire societal structure. And the fourth one is about community and family system. So community and family systems is the fourth layer of social structure. But all these aspects means politics, economics, social system, and community and family life. All these aspects are linked together, and these things defines social exclusion or contributes towards social inclusion as well as social exclusion. But when you talk about social exclusion as a multidimensional concept, uh, there are certain nuances which needs to be understood in the context of Antheas. What Antheas argues while talking about social exclusion and inclusion, he says social inclusion is not only multidimensional in the sense that it is influenced by different processes, economic, political, cultural, but that concept is also relational because the different causes will affect the categories of persons differently depending on whether they are treated in terms of gender or in terms of ethnicity or in terms of class. It's a very complex analysis what I'm trying to propose here. What Antheas is trying to argue is trying to talk about social inclusion. And while talking about social inclusion, what is trying to say that it is social exclusion and inclusion are not dichotomous. So it has to be understood. So these two processes are not dichotomous, but these two processes are need to be understood in its specific context and situations. So that means if you are a little better off and you may face a different kind of exclusion or inclusion and vice versa. So I think that has to be understood. What is trying to argue Antheas will that means this exclusion and inclusion process varies from different situations and different contexts, and it is not dichotomous. This concept is not dichotomous. One is normally not totally excluded or included. That means a group is not normally excluded. A particular person what I'm trying to say that yeah I'm trying to say that exclusion and inclusion are considered not as a dichotomous. In that particular sense, what is trying to argue that one is normally not totally excluded or included. That means one can be partly included or one can be partly excluded. Now it is up to others, or you can say that it is up to the convenience of the people. What happens in present day scenario? So the point I'm trying to say, it has to be understood in context. So what the point here is, one is normally not totally excluded or totally included. Totally excluded, totally included. One can be partly excluded or one can be partly included. So it is because on the basis of political rights, on the basis of geographical or ethical origins, you are partly included or you are partly excluded or you are totally excluded or you are totally included. So it is like that. Look at the so therefore what is being argued to talk about exclusion and inclusion, that how does we try to conceptualize this exclusion and inclusion, then it says that if there is a difficulties to look at this very concept, then we can try to find out the deprivation factors. So deprivation is one of the important indicators to define social exclusion. So therefore, identifying deprivation factor is important. So what are these factors which we call as the deprivational factors or deprivational indicators? So the deprivational indicators can be called as income deprivations, it can be called as employment deprivations, it can be called as health deprivations or disability deprivations, or you can say educational deprivations, training and skill deprivations, housing deprivations, geographical access to services, crime, and physical environment. I think these are certain deprivational factors which can be taken as an indicator to discuss and define social exclusion. So, in this particular context, when you say about social inclusion refers to the synergies between different factors in local government and services. That means in a local situations, how things moves, how things works, on the basis of that exclusion and inclusion occurs. So it can be concluded from this analysis that exclusion process remains systematic. When you say what the points we derive out of these discussions, that we always say that exclusion is conceptualized on the basis of a systematic way to exclude certain section of the society. So systematic, when a situation, when systematically a particular group or individual are being excluded, so they can be called as exclusion. So exclusion is systematic. That is the conclusion we derive out of the discussions what I've said. So it is systematic, and it is exclusion is seen as a dependent only system failures. The second important point, when you say that exclusion is systematic, it suggests that the system is failed. That means the system which support to include others, it also get failed. So with this perspective, social exclusion is seen on the basis of hetero designations of certain groups or individuals which are defined as exclusions. That means when exclusion or when you try to exclude a particular group or individuals in a very systematic manner and the system doesn't support you to include, then I think that is called social exclusion. Sometimes studies ignore the human potential to construct social inclusion within one or different everyday spheres. In our everyday life, at times we get some kind of space to include others, but at times we try to systematically deny and include people. So therefore, what can be said here, that the identity based inclusion or exclusion are the boundaries. That means identity plays a very important role as far as exclusion and inclusion is concerned. When you say that identity is also a multidimensional concept. But certainly in Indian context, when you talk about identity, so identity is basically on the basis of caste, creed, religion, gender. I think these are the essential aspects of social discriminations, and they are the essential aspects on the basis of which social exclusions takes place. So therefore, social exclusion depends on many factors, as I've said. In that particular context, social exclusion is the denial of equal opportunities imposed by certain groups of society on others. Here I'll bring Amartya Sen, what he is trying to argue while conceptualizing what is called social exclusion. He tries to talk about the meaning and dimension of social exclusion, but he draws a distinction between various aspects of social exclusion. Now, Sen, what he's trying to say that in a situation where some people are kept out or left out, kept out or left out, where some people are included, forcefully they are included on deep terms. So at times, what Amartya Sen is trying to say, one group is kept out of the process or left out of the process, the other group are forcibly included. I'm not giving any examples to connect with these things, but I'm just trying to give a hint to all of you that how a systematic way this has been done to symbolize for example, if a particular people, specifically from scheduled caste communities or scheduled tribe communities, they are given highest positions, in the country, and it is, it's a systematic approach to include them, but they have their own criteria to decide all these things. So it's a systematic inclusion as well as systematic exclusion, which has been deliberately set out by the system. So I think you all are intelligent to understand what I'm trying to say. So therefore, in such a situations, unfavorable exclusions and unfavorable inclusions. When I favor somebody, I'll try to include. When I don't favor somebody, I'll just try to exclude. So unfavorable exclusion and unfavorable inclusion, Amartya Sen is trying to talk about. So he further argues that he makes a distinction between active exclusion and passive exclusion. What is called active exclusion according to Amartya Sen? Active exclusion fosters exclusion through deliberate policies, intervention by the government, or by any other willful agent to exclude some people from some opportunities. For example, affirmative policies. Affirmative policies is a deliberate attempt to include a certain section of the society to do away with the centuries-old disadvantages and centuries-old kind of disadvantages or exploitations, exclusion they faced. So it is a kind of active exclusion in that sense that others, those who tries to question this affirmative policy, they don't understand the philosophy. The philosophy is to positively discriminate a section of the society because they were excluded since centuries. So it is a kind of, for others, it's a kind of active exclusion, means deliberately a group is given favor to make them part of the system. So it is a fostering exclusion through deliberate policy interventions. I have given the example of affirmative policies. So affirmative policies is active exclusion in nature, meaning thereby to include people, those who are suffering from the maladies of caste and caste-based violence and caste-based exclusions. So willfully state has done this. Secondly, when we talk about passive exclusion, which works through the social processes in which there are no deliberate attempts to exclude, nevertheless may result in exclusion from the set of circumstances. That means it is not being deliberately done, but certainly there are people, those who are out of this process of inclusion, they are being excluded. So active exclusion and passive exclusion, these are the concepts given by Amartya Sen to make this point clear. So passive exclusion, it's not a deliberate, but 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 certainly out of the processes or out of the you can say the developmental policies, certain kind of passive exclusions occurs. Now, if you talk about Warrior Elwin, for example, he has talked about um, isolations, then integrations, to talk about the tribals specifically and the policies related to the tribes. So the assimilations and integrations. I think these are the points which has been taken by Nehru in his tribal policies. So the point here is it has to be understood, I think, in the context of active exclusion or passive exclusion. Also, you can try to look at this argument of Warrior Elwin. So further, if apart from this active exclusion, passive exclusion, if you look at Amartya Sen, further he writes constitutive relevance of exclusion and instrumental importance of exclusion. What is called this constitutive relevance of exclusion is important. It means exclusion or deprivation have an intrinsic importance of their own. For instance, not being able to release to others and to take part in the life of the community can directly impoverish a person's life in addition to the further deprivations. That means if you are not allowed to contribute fully the way you would like to contribute, I think that is called constitutive exclusion. And this, what is trying to say, this is a kind of deprivation of a particular group and people. The way they would like to lead their life, they are not allowed to do that. For example, there are many examples you can look at, like the food specifically. What kind of food? It has to be decided by that particular community what kind of food they would like to have, or what kind of dress they would like to have, what kind of cultural programs they will, or what kind of cultural performance they would like to have. So all these things, it's up to that particular community. But what happening in India in due course of society and changes? Of course, there are many various studies which suggest that, for example, the tribes, no, they are becoming Hinduized. There are studies which suggest that the tribes are becoming Hinduized in due course of time. So, of course, if you talk about G.S. Gure, he has talked tribes are backward Hindus. So I think, but whether these analogies are correct, I think this is all linked with the constitutive relevance of exclusion, meaning thereby deprivation have an intrinsic importance of their own. That means the tribes, they have their own values. It has to be decided by them what is right and what is wrong for them, what they would like to have, how they would like to live. So this is a constitutive relevance of exclusion. Secondly, in addition to the further, he differentiate social exclusion which of the instrumental importance. What is one is called constitutive exclusion or the constitutive relevance of exclusion. The other one is instrumental importance of exclusion. This instrumental importance in which exclusion in itself is not impoverishing but can lead to impoverishment of human life. The exclusion may not create impoverishment, but in the process, it may impoverish the entire human life. So what exactly I mean to say, that the mainstream economists have further elaborated this concept of discrimination that operates particularly through market. I think, no, the instrumental importance I'm trying to say, it operates through market. It operates through market. That how a market systematically exclude there is no nobody is trying to deny it, but a systematic way it has been created that that means you are excluded from the market. I think this is all about the theoretical aspects or theoretical and conceptual aspects of social exclusion as well as inclusion, I think I have said. Now I'll be trying to talk about caste exclusion and discriminations. Then I'll come to the other aspect of it. When you say that caste exclusion and discriminations, it revolves around the societal interactions. I have said while talking about social structure, the social structure means the relations between units and subunits. Units and subunits of societal system. So there, social interaction plays very important role. Social interactions and social relations. What is called social interaction and what is called social relations? Social interactions occurs, of course, which essentially makes the man social. That means a group of people or an individual interacts with another individuals. That is called interactions. A group interacts with other groups. So in social interactions. So social interaction is the basis to form social structure. Secondly, when you talk about social relations, there is social interrelations. That is how a particular group is linked with other groups. Okay, so social interactions, social interrelations, and social institutions. When these things, social interactions, social interrelations, and social institutions, when these three aspects excludes and discriminate, isolate, and deprive some group on the basis of their identities like caste, ethnicity, religion, or gender, then that is the typical aspect of social exclusion. That means they are deprived of having social interactions with others. Number one, they are denied to have a kind of social interrelationship with other groups in a free manner, and they are excluded, discriminated, isolated, and deprived on the basis of their identity like caste, religion, gender, ethnicity, and so on and so forth. That means the notion of interactions, the notion of social interrelationship is somehow, I think, working or blocking you to interact freely. Now, take the example of a village society. Even today, if you go to a village, any village in the country, all villages are, in my understanding, have the same thing as far as caste-based exclusion is concerned. Villages changed, but the interaction, interrelations, and the institutional setup in village society today still governed by this exclusionary philosophy, and these exclusions are, or these exclusionary aspects operate by taking the aspects like caste, religion, ethnicity, gender, and so on and so forth. I think there we need to harp upon, there we need to work on it. Unless until we work on these issues, then these aspects, when I all the time say, as far as caste-based discrimination is concerned, caste-based exclusion is concerned, nothing has changed in this country. Nothing has changed in the country in the sense that 99.9% caste-based exclusions, caste-based discriminations are there in society, but only we can say a kind of flexibility has come, little bit of flexibility has come. in our society. That little bit of flexibility has come because the points which I've said earlier, legislations, and it has come because of constitutional provisions, it has come because of adult franchise, it has come because of the development which have initiated since several years. So I think because of all that, there is a flexibility, but caste as a structure for exclusion, it remains. Religion essentially as a structural factor, it remains to exclude certain section of the society, and ethnicity also, gender also works in the same line. So it is caste-based exclusion which forms the basis of various anti-discriminatory policies. So because of this caste-based exclusion, anti-discriminatory policies are being formed, and it is regulated through social and economic life of the people in India. So when you say that this kind of exclusion occurs, then it has a link with civil, cultural, economic rights of each individual and caste, and it tries to predetermine as an ascribed status, and it becomes hereditary. I think though we have completed 7 decades almost of independence, but still this is persist in our country, and that defines our civil, cultural, and economic rights of the groups and individuals. Even though if you talk about the educational society, in universities for that matter, I think these issues are vehemently operates in our society. So the point I'm trying to say that it operates in a very systematic manner. So the most important features of caste system, which provides a kind of regulatory mechanism to enforce social and economic organizations, and social ostracism also being practiced because of this. So therefore, what I'm trying to say that there are issues as far as Indian society is concerned, and these issues are very important to understand caste-based discriminations and exclusions specifically. So what are the forms of caste exclusion and discriminations? When you talk about the forms, how does this exclusions looks like, the forms? It can be said like this: the practice of caste-based exclusion and discrimination involves what is called living mode exclusion. So this is a concept of what I'm saying, living mode exclusion. Exclusion, that means you live with exclusion. Living mode exclusion, exclusion in political participations, that means you are systematically denied. There are a number of examples. You can see what is happening. I think, I don't know how far it is correct, but certainly people are complaining that their names were deliberately deleted from voters list in the present context. So living mode exclusion, you can say that I don't want that you should cast your vote, so therefore I'll drop your name from the electoral roll. So exclusion in political participations. Exclusion and disadvantage in social and economic opportunities will not give you will not provide you economic opportunities and social opportunities to the certain section of the society. I think it can be said that it's a systematic way to look at it. So this is a form of exclusion. I'm trying to argue that caste-based exclusions are there, and it tries to create a kind of political exclusion in political participations, and exclusion to gain economic opportunities, exclusion to gain social opportunities. I think these are the aspects where you can look at the forms of social exclusion. So caste untouchability and ethnic based exclusions reflects the inability of individual and groups like untouchables, Adivasis, similar group to interact freely and productively with other groups, to take part in economic life, to take part in social life, to take part in political life. What exactly I'm trying to say? Systematically, they are denied the opportunities fully enjoy their life, the life with dignity and freedom. So I think that has to be understood while talking about the forms of social exclusion. So incomplete citizenship, this can be coined as incomplete citizenship. That means you are citizen of the country. Citizen is a political concept. It's a modern concept. But when you say that citizen is a political concept, a modern concept, then when this kind of exclusion persists and this kind of exclusion operates, then it becomes incomplete citizenship. That means you are denial with civil rights, that is called the freedom of expression, rule of law, right to justice. I think this is called civil rights. You are denied to attain, to get the civil rights. This is the first aspect of incomplete citizenship. The second aspect of incomplete citizenship is political rights. That means rights and means to participate in the exercise of political powers, you are systematically denied. So political rights, this means one is civil rights, the other one is political rights. Incomplete citizenship involves denial of civil rights, denial of political rights. Thirdly, denial of socio-economic rights. That means you don't have economic security, you don't have equality of opportunities, participate in market, in the job market, or in the production units. So this is the third aspects of incomplete citizenship. The key dimension are the key dimensions of the incomplete citizenship. That means a citizens is not considered to be fully citizens because he is denied his civil rights, is denied his political rights, and is denied with socio-economic rights. When these rights were denied, it becomes incomplete citizenship. And to what extent this incomplete citizenship is in operations in present society, you must try to think about and find out and do certain case studies how this incomplete citizenship occurs in India and persists in India. So caste and untouchability based exclusion and discriminations can be categorized as economic, civil, cultural, and political sphere, which I'll be explaining it further. So there are, I think I'll be talking about four aspects of exclusion. The first one is the economic exclusion. What is called this economic exclusions? And economic exclusion further can be clubbed into 2-3 ways. Economic exclusion can be practiced in the labor market, which is being practiced in the labor market through denial of jobs. So you deny people to get into jobs in the capital market and denial access to capital. So this is one economic exclusions, that you are not allowed to participate in labor market, you are not allowed to get into jobs, and you are also not allowed to access the capital. This is first economic exclusion. Second, in the agricultural land and market, this is the second aspect of exclusion. I all the time, if you look at my article, land is the question of dignity for Dalits. In that particular article, land, Dalits, they don't have lands. And they're systematically denied to have lands. So therefore, they don't have dignity. If they will have land, at least some sense of dignity will be there, because people used to crack jokes to these people that you don't have a line in the earth. Line in the earth in the sense what? That means if you go to this Bhulek for that matter, there is no reference to you. So you are not dignified in that way. So agricultural land market, you are denial of these things, that you can't keep land, and you so there is no land to you. given to you, or that you don't have any land. So, and also market, because since you don't have capital, you can't enter into the market, and you can't sell and purchase certain things, certain goods, and it is systematic. But on the other hand, if you look at this market, for example, the traditional occupations of the cobblers, for example, is being taken over by corporate houses, because they have money, they have the resources, they have the connections, they know how to operate. So therefore, the traditional occupations which were, of course, the manufacturing is done by this group of our society, but the benefit of it, the market driven benefit of it, is taken by others. So therefore, agricultural land, sale and purchase, and having capital, all these things. Moreover, if you go for a consumer market, you are denied to sell or purchase certain commodities and goods. Actually, it is still persist that if you make your identity disclosed, so I think if you open a shop, or if you provide certain goods and services, so I think you'll face the consequences. Of course, I think you can relate with what has happened during this Kawad Jatra. You must have seen that how the political scenario has created that people, those who are running the students and all that, they need to disclose their identity, what group to they belongs. That means if they belongs to a particular group, so they that means they are not eligible to provide you the foods during Kawad Jatra. So what exactly I'm trying to say? It's a deliberate kind of attempt that people are not able to disclose their identity. If they will disclose their identity, they are not in a position to. Specifically, if you talk about Muslims, for example, if their original names are different, but their nicknames are different. So from the nickname, you can't get what their identity is. But it's a deliberate attempt by them to escape exclusion. Otherwise, if they go with their identity, there is no issue, but others will discriminate. So this is the point what I'm trying to say, economic exclusions. Secondly, I think Amartya Sen describes unfavorable inclusion. That means differential treatment in terms of conditions of contract, one of them reflecting the discrimination in the price and charge and receive discrimination. That means discrimination occurs in the second aspect. That means if you disclose your identity, you are discriminated to get your wages. I think there are a number of studies which suggest that there is a variation in the wages, and so what exactly the wage you're supposed to get, if your identity is disclosed, you will not be given that of wages. So this is a kind of also discriminations, and what kind of services you provide, but you are not paid accordingly. So discriminated groups can get lower prices for goods and services they sell, and could pay higher prices for the goods they buy. If you buy something, you have to pay more. If you provide a services, you will get less. I think number of rural societies, even today, you can have this if you explore and find it out. This is the second aspect of it. The third aspect of is about access to social needs supplied by government and public institutions. There is a systematic attempt for exclusion and discriminations to access social needs and services provided by the government. To get government support also, there is a kind of exclusion which occurs. For example, private institutions in the field of education, housing, health, common property resources like water bodies, grazing lands, land of common uses. There also, I think you can see exclusion occurs. The fourth aspect, I think the last point I'll be making here, that exclusion and discrimination from participation in certain categories of jobs because of the notion of purity and pollutions. So, for example, those who do sweeper activities, or they are not um, kept, or they are excluded to be kept in the household jobs because they are uh, considered to be impure. So purity and pollution notion, which has been uh, specifically written by Louis Dumo in his book Homo Hierarchicus, but that still operates. No, that still operates. That means a particular group is not included because they belongs to a particular caste. So for specifically the household jobs, and maybe restricted to uh, they are restricted because they are involved in unclean occupations. So in the civil and cultural sphere, that's what I'm saying, social and economic sphere and civil and cultural sphere, untouchable may face discrimination and exclusion in the use of public services like education, health, roads, temples, water bodies, institutions, delivering service mechanisms. All these things are you can look at to see how exclusion persists and how exclusion continues in India even after 7 decades of independence. So the political sphere also, you can see the untouchability could face discrimination in the use of political rights. I've given the example in participation in decision-making processes. So the decision-making processes also, I think you can see how these groups are systematically excluded. So due to physical segregation and social exclusion on the account of notion of untouchability, these groups suffers from social exclusion. So therefore, what exactly I'm trying to argue, that social exclusion is systematic, social exclusion is structural, social exclusion tries to debar people to enjoy the human rights, enjoy the human dignity they have, enjoy the provisions which has been given to them by Indian constitutions. I think it needs to be understood. In the very beginning, I have also said that it's a very multidimensional aspect, it's a very complex situations. So to understand that complex situations, you need to look at the entire gamut of our social relationship. As I have said, social relationship, interrelationship, and social structure. All these aspects, all these societal aspects are very complex, and we need to overcome this. But how to overcome this? I think the suggestion would be to overcome this is the capability approach which was um, developed by Amartya Sen or Martha Nussbaum. I think Martha Nussbaum, in her book Women and Human Development, the Capability Approach, there she has talked about 10 central human capabilities. That is, I think, needs to be looked at to talk about what are the points she has said. She had talked about life, bodily health, bodily integrity, sense, imagination and thought, emotions, practical reasons, affiliations, other species, play, central over control over one's environment. I think these are the aspects he has talked about and try to talk about, that we have to work in these 10 capabilities aspects by which we can attain or we can gain some kind of inclusivity in society. I think this has to be, we have to relook at this very this social what should I say, the social fallacies which still persist in different parts of the world, not only in India. I think we need to look at it and try to find out a solutions. You all youngsters maybe have certain solutions how to deal with these issues. I think I would be very happy to get your questions and comments on this deliberations, and I'll be very happy to answer it. You can comment while listening to this YouTube. Thank you very much. At the very outset, I would be extending my heartfelt thanks to Professor Karunyakara to inviting me to talk about social exclusion and inclusion and my ideas on this. Thank you very much. Over to Professor Karunyakara, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm seeing Professor Karunyakara sir's ID is continuously logging and logging out. So, but I'm hopeful that he is in the room. So I request Professor Karunyakara sir, please give you a comment on today's lecture. Hello.
He has network problem. He might be is not there.
Okay. Okay, I'm continuously seeing his ID is logging and logging out. Okay, then we have to move to the next session, which is a question answer session. So I request those who want to ask a question, so please go ahead and ask the questions related to the today's topic only. So please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Amit Kumar, आप पूछिए क्वेश्चन सर से.
Yes, sir. I have 3 questions about this topic: social inclusion and social exclusion. Would you ask questions, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. My first question, Babasaheb. My first question: the last book written by Babasaheb, Dr. Ambedkar, Buddha and Dham, explain 93 page. Then he get Pravajja, cause of social inequality and social exclusion. The old conservative traditional philosophy and Varna system, caste system in Indian society. So please explain.
अमित कुमार आप हिंदी में भी पूछ सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. आप मतलब या प्लीज.
So sir, please explain actually reason in Indian exclusion of the society. And my second question, Amrit Sen used one term, capability approach in the inclusion society. So please explain in the meaning of the word. And my third question is the theoretical applicability and acceptance of the any social upgrading in the society in inclusivity, reservation policy, education policy, and right of the marginalized and disadvantaged group of the India society. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your questions. What exactly you are referring to, Dr. Ambedkar, specifically Buddha and Dhamma? I don't know exactly the passage what you are referring to, but my interpretation to it is, look at Dr. Ambedkar. I all the time say that this Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, if you talk about the Varna model, so I say that it has 4 legs, or a chair has 4 legs on the basis of which it stands. But Dr. Ambedkar very systematically tried that if one group, specifically the Sudras, are converted to Buddhism or adopted to other religious practices, certainly that will help the marginalized sections to have a different identity, and the Hindu philosophy, which is based on this Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra model, it will collapse. It will collapse. But in due course of history and due course of time, it hasn't happened because caste is a monster if you refer to Dr. Ambedkar, and this has spread to a different religion and different region of Asian countries. So therefore, and specifically the people, those who converted to Buddhism, they are termed as new Buddhist, and their identity and caste-based identity still continues. This is the model which Dr. Ambedkar proposed to emancipate the Dalits and the marginalized. But I think the result has to be examined and seen by all of you, that to what extent we could able to achieve that, whether this model what Ambedkar was envisioned through conversion has brought a desired result or not. This is the first point you have to look at it. Secondly, the capabilities of about question, capabilities approach. The capabilities approach specifically talks about you have to identify the capability of people, and you have to give them freedom, and you have to provide them opportunities. Then only they will be capable of contributing in a better manner for a better society. So, to contributing for a better in better way in the society, you need to empower these marginalized sections of the society. You need to invest on their educations. You need to invest on their health. You need to invest on their and you should provide them jobs and opportunities. Of course, if you look at it, that is also essentially the capitalists also want. They don't want poverty. They need to empower this marginalized section of the society by which their products or the capitalist model will survive. So capabilities means enhancing the capabilities of the marginalized section of society, and this enhancement of their capabilities can be through many kind of opportunities you have to create. You have to invest on their education, you have to invest on their health, you have to give them full freedom by which they can contribute and do excel and contribute positively for the betterment of the society. This is the second questions. I think I forgot your third questions, what you have said. I could not note down. So
Amit,
I think
अमित प्लीज अपना लास्ट जो क्वेश्चन है, तीसरा क्वेश्चन सर को बताइए.
Yes, sir. Sir, my third question is theoretical aspects in exclusion and inclusion. Basically, inclusion in our society, Indian society, that means make the marginalized society policy, education policy, and social welfare policy, reservation, education rights of marginalized society and disadvantaged group, and implicate in the society and result, output the result. Yes, sir.
Okay. As far as the theoretical aspect of social exclusion is concerned, I have given you the theoretical model with the definition of Hillary at the very beginning, that it's a process. Social exclusion is a process. This is the first point I have talked about. The second point I have talked about, it is related with the social structure. That means how social structure operates, means how social structure provides you a framework to interact, interrelate, with other communities. I think the second theoretical aspect about social exclusion. And the third point I have said about that it's a multidimensional concept, so it's a complex situations. So complexity has to be understood in a complex complexity has to be understood, and there is no single way to look at these complexities. So therefore, if you the questions what you are trying to say in terms of educations, in terms of health, in terms of getting into jobs, I think these systematic approaches are in operations, and they are systematically denied. No, I've given you the recent examples that which has been there in air, that a certain section of the society or their names are being excluded or being striked off from the electoral roll. So this is a kind of, no, they are not in a position to, if your name is not there in electoral roll, you can't cast your vote. So therefore, it has been done in a systematic manner. So therefore, the theoretical model, what I'm trying to talk about of social exclusion, are in operations as far as this example of removing the names from the political roll list, or like in educations, what is happening in educations, you could say. Of course, in educations, there is a systematic denial of educations, and the systematic way how people are not given a proper kind of counseling, and they are not motivated how they can do studies, and they create hurdles. They discourage you. They there is something called RAID. I used to say in my class that you are tagged, SC students for that matter. They are not coming to study, people say. They are coming to get the fellowship. So this is a kind of labeling, This is kind of tag which has been attached to them. So the point I'm trying to say, these are the theoretical aspects of exclusion which is linked with educations and politics and so on and so forth. If you go on analyzing it, you can link it. So I've only given the example of politics, I've given the only example of educations. So these nuances, these aspects are deeply interrelated with the theoretical aspect of social exclusion and the social practices.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. There is Shashikant Sambodhi want to ask a question. Shashikant, please go ahead.
Sir, my name is Shashikant, and I am a student of sociology. Sir, I have only one curiosity. Sir, based on last decade, as a Dalit, where do we stand today? This is my curiosity. I want to understand on this framework.
Where do we stand today? I have given, I think, if you listen to my lecture carefully, nothing has changed. As a student of sociology, I can say only a flexibility has come as far as India is concerned. So caste remains to be the core of Indian society, and caste-based exclusions, religious-based exclusions, identity-based exclusions are there in society. We can't say that this has been removed. Those who are saying it, they don't know a real society. They must go and visit the rural pockets of India. They must go and see the universities, how this universities operates. So therefore, where do we stand today? I think we can say that we have to be aspirational. I think that is my suggestions to all of you, that we must be aspirational to follow Dr. Ambedkar. And I all the time, when I was chief proctor of my university, I all the time talk to my students, why don't you look at Dr. Ambedkar? He was the first man to enter into the library and the last man to come out of the library. So I think that we should draw the spirit out of it. That spirit can only give us success. And he, therefore, Dr. Ambedkar has been, by Obama, he has been coined a symbol of knowledge. So, of course, our society could not recognize his talents till Obama says this. So, he is a symbol of knowledge across the globe. So he has become a symbol of knowledge because he was the first man to enter into education, enter into the library and come out of the library at the end. I think that the inspiration we should draw, and that is the point I'm trying to say, that we must be aspirational, like to become a Dr. Ambedkar and draw inspiration from these things. We must study, work hard, focus, whatever they do. See, nowadays situations are different because they can stop here in India, you can say. If you go abroad, if you have talent, if you improve, then I think the entire globe is open to you. So I think we have to look at and try to be aspirational and focus on studies, and certainly we can change the world. I think with this positive notes, I can assure you that we must be aspirational and take the attitude, specifically what Dr. Ambedkar did. That attitude, I think, will help us to survive and to have a new India in coming years.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Kiran Kumre,
Thank you, sir.
want to
Yes.
ask a question?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, first of all, congratulations, sir. Your lecture is very wonderful and very excellent and very useful for me. I am Dr. Kiran Kumre. I am an assistant professor in Dalit and Tribal Studies, MGHAV, Varda. I would like to ask you 3 questions. My first question is, list at least 3 strategies for the social inclusion of Brahmin race in the Dalit cultural universe. That is my first question. And question is, Dalit empowerment is not about inclusion in the Brahmin culture world, but about strengthening Dalit self cultural world. What is your view? And now you are told tribal policy. What is national tribal policy? Could you explain? That is my 3 questions. Thank you, sir.
I am forgetting, but let me talk about the first question you have said.
Yeah, okay,
What
sir.
are the strategies? No, what is the strategies for social inclusion? I think the first question is about the strategy.
Yeah.
The strategies needs to be worked out. When I say that strategies are need to be worked out in the sense that the developmental model and paradigms what we had earlier, no, it was um, from top to bottom. Now I think after so many years, it has become bottom to up approach, no, from bottom to up. So maybe this is the one that if we are talking about um, the inclusion or the empowerment of the marginalized, what exactly they want for their empowerment. It is not that what exactly I want, or what exactly the state wants. No, what exactly the people of that particular community wants. I think we need to, the first point is we need to identify what they want. For example, if tribes want lands, if tribe wants forests, so we must work with them to provide them land and forest. So the point is we have to work with this particular community to find out their need and what is their aspirational goals. So this is first. Secondly, on the basis of this, we can carve out policies of intervention. How these interventional policies can be carved out and giving the framework. So policy has to be carved out by in consultation with this community for whom these policies are being framed. This is one. Secondly, affirmative actions. Strictly, we must follow this affirmative policies, which is laid, which is given in our constitutions, and it must be implemented in letter and spirit and in truth and knowledge. This is the second point strategy I'm saying. Thirdly, social welfare programs. The social welfare programs meant for this section of the society needs to be implemented with tooth and nail, with all letters free, no deviations. But it's not happening, unfortunately. I think this is as per the policy interventions required. Secondly, or thirdly, you can say education and skill development initiative. That means how education would lead to the section of the society, how we can provide them a skill, and how the skills they can learn, what are the methods needs to be adopted to enhance skill. This they are also need to work out by which these groups can be given educations and provided basic skills for their development and developmental initiative. Fourthly, if you talk about their empowerment and community-based approach, with the first point which I have made, empowerment and community-based approach needs to be strengthened for their inclusion and for their empowerment. So, empowerment and community-based approach needs to be developed. Means in consultation with the community, we can devise the mechanisms for their empowerment. Then, fourth or fifth point, we can say the legal framework has to be much more stubborn because no, if people have a fear of laws and legal framework, certainly it would be helpful to give the due to these communities. So the legal framework needs to be worked out to talk about the solution strategies for their empowerment. And anti-discriminatory laws needs to be strengthened and needs to be implemented. And I think there also we need to work by which so because no, I all the time say that law is a kind of social engineering, that we want to take society in a particular directions. Therefore, laws are there. But how does these laws are going to be implemented? What are the stringent approaches need to be adopted as far as laws are concerned? I think they are need to work out. Then inclusive urban planning and public services accesses are also need to be focused. Like I'm see initially we had tribal hostels, so low-caste student hostels. I think these policies are need to be now. Of course, now they are trying to make it much more inclusive. Of course, if we talk about Lucknow and Uttar Pradesh, we have Ambedkar Chhatravas. So the point I'm trying to say, inclusive urban plan is where we can talk about. For example, when JNU was formed, it was the vision of the JNU founder members that they would like to create such a situation where people from rural areas, people from marginalized communities, they can come over here, stay here for 10 years and study, again go back to their areas and work and contribute for their development. I think that needs to be, such kind of urban planning and public service accesses needs to be developed by which I think these are the solutions and suggestions which can suggest for their empowerment and inclusion.
Yeah. Is there anyone who wants to ask a question? So, sir, basically, I also want to ask a question, and I get a call from Professor Leela Karunyakara, sir.
Okay.
So, due to network issue, he is not able to join, but he's going to call on my cell phone right now, and I'm going to take my phone near the laptop mic so you all can hear him. So before that, I'm trying all these things. So before that, I have two questions which I need to be asked you. The first is, you talked about Amartya Sen's concept about active exclusion and active inclusion. And also you give an example, told us about passive exclusion. But I'm interested in understanding about, is there any kind of a concept related to the passive inclusion? And if it is, so please, I'll be happy to have its example. And the second question which comes to my mind when you talked about the market ecosystem, this ecosystem of market is majorly focused on caste system, as you also told that the Indian society is mostly on the caste basis till now. and we know that market is held by the particular caste, and they develop their own ecosystem and not allow the marginalized community to the system. So I'd like to hear from you how this market ecosystem going to be at least give little space and little inclusion to the marginalized community, particularly for the case of Dalits. So this is my two questions, sir.
Okay. Now, first you have talked about active and passive exclusion. What passive exclusion is? It is written like this: passive exclusion, which works through the social processes in which there are no deliberate attempts to exclude, nevertheless may result in exclusion from a set of circumstances. There are two things here. Passive exclusion is related with the social process. Number two, it is not deliberate. Number three, it is based on certain set of circumstances. These are the three important aspects which is linked with passive exclusion. Now come to your second question, where the example is fit into here. Now, market, it is systematically create passive exclusion because there is no deliberate attempt. Deliberate attempts can be also there, but since, for example, think about the Dalits, they don't have land, labor, and capital if you talk in the Marxian framework. So definitely, how you can provide them loans, how they can be develop their own business setup. For example, if you go to a banker and request him to provide you a loan, he will say that you show us the papers, specifically land or any assets you have, then only you can able to provide you the loan. So what does it mean? It's a passive exclusion. They don't have land, bank asking for land or some kind of mortgage. You don't have anything to give them as a mortgage. So then how you can get loan and how you can prosper? So, for example, there are the plans which is meant for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people also. There also, they'll ask all these things. So this, in a way, it's a passive exclusion which is not deliberate, but it is the circumstances which is created in such a manner, they are not in a position to take the benefit of it. I think this is the way you can understand. And as far as your second question is concerned, how to create space in the market and what needs to be done in this particular context. As far as market is concerned, in my understanding, KIDK is doing wonderful work, but what extent it has become successful? And I think for to be successful entrepreneur, we need to find out the ways, specifically the skills related to market. First of all, you need to have at least minimum resources at your hand to operate, and there is a difficulties as far as market and product-based services is concerned. I think we have to relook at these issues, how market situation can be created for marginalized section of the society, and of course, if you look at people specifically in Agra, there are entrepreneurs, I think, from Dalit and marginalized communities. I think we need to learn from these people and make some case studies, go to these people and find out how they become entrepreneurs. I think the point I'm trying to say, the organic intellectual role is very important. That means the organic intellectual role is very important in the sense that those who have become entrepreneurs, now they should come forward and suggest you the means and ways to become an entrepreneur and work and survive in the market. I think that's all from my side. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Professor Karunyakara sir on call. So I'm going to put my phone's speaker near the mic so he can also talk with you. So Professor Karunyakara sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Professor Bibhuti Malik, you are, we are happy to be with you on this lecture, on this from KIDK. I am very sorry and apologize to everyone that always, my network is in a good condition. Somehow it went out of the thing, light gone, everything, all kind of problems crop up. I'm extremely sorry to all of you, particularly to Professor Bibi Malik. Professor Malik, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm hearing you.
I'm extremely apologetic to all of you. My apologies to all of you because of this network problem I am unable to join you guys. However, I am sure that your lectures certainly it's going to be a thought provoking and certainly it's going to be helpful to all my young scholars, faculty members, and students and research scholars and participants who might have joined from different universities across the country. Thank you very much, Professor Malik, for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yeah. And nothing to be worried about.
Thank you. And Akash, you may carry on. Thank you, Malik.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Professor Malik sir want to say something for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sir, nothing to be like this. Actually, technology at times plays a crucial role. And in certain situations when you need it behaves like this. So it happens and we have to bear that. So nothing to be worried about and nothing to be apologetic about it. We had good discussions with all the students who have joined. And thank you for creating such situations and such channel
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Akash.
Yes, sir. Nirakar Malik sir is also
Yeah.
And
just
talking.
Just Akash.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Many of your names and your faces are familiar, and I have been very keenly listening to the entire deliberation. Of course, I get connected a bit late, but many new areas, many unexplored uh, issues, and many kind of courage which all of you had, and the kind of deliberation and the response that Dr. Bibhuti, I call him as Bibhuti, and here I call him as Dr. Bibhuti as he is a public speaker. And it has enthralled me. It tried to erode certain level of consciousness, and because there are a lot of focus centering around market, exclusion, the category of exclusion, the it's a embedded boundary, things which were striking, and it was trying to enrich my understanding to the extent. It's okay. I try to learn something out of it to augment, to accelerate my level of ideas and understanding. And no, it's a kind of intervention, I should say, in digging a new process, in trying to put certain new stones into the forum of our understanding, which will enrich us further in understanding ourselves, in enriching our understanding rather. Because we have been successfully conducting programs every week, and in that extent, I said Kennedy, I don't say Karunyakara, because we are all belonging to the same era. And in that way, I know how stupendous task he has been shouldering, and so also you young chaps. So it's quite appreciable. A lot of commitment, a lot of keenness you are showing and trying to inculcate, inject, embed the things within us so that, this Dalit consciousness and arousement that will take us in the right direction. And there are issues. There are multiple issues which possibly, owing to various preoccupations and engagements, I'm not able to, always be part of your all successive lecture series. But that's why even today also I was engaged. But then while I remembered that Bibhuti is speaking, so I somehow get connected around 7:50 or something. So keep it off, see the things, that the theme, the area, the issues, the chronic cancerous problem that we have at our level at the genesis, and the interest that we have been showing, starting from various people of our own uh, community of people that will help us in building up a strong, a solid, a very strengthened base, so that we'll be able to, fight it out, the atrocities, the exploitation, the harassment, the discrimination, and blah blah. So I thank my colleague, my brother, rather, you all are my brothers and sisters. Of course, there is no ambiguity, but it's an eye-opening to certain extent the way he spoke, and that is a lesson for all of us. We need to learn and imitate whatever best possible. Okay, I am a teacher. I teach sociology like him in a distant university, and his lecture today have certainly raised certain level of consciousness within me, which I need to appreciate and acknowledge. And thank him also. Thank you all too. That much. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Shashikant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kiran. And of course, nonetheless, I thank my younger brother, Dr. Bhimrao. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bhai.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Professor Karunyakara sir, we have to go for a vote of thanks right now.
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, thank you. So we already have a pass our time of vote of thanks, and the lecture today was very enriching and very important for all of us who are practicing this the field in Dalit studies and social exclusion, marginality, and subaltern studies. This lecture is going to be really benefit to all of us. And now I request Professor Shashikant Sambodhi, Mr. Shashikant Sambodhi, to please give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Akash, for this opportunity. First of all, we as KIDK are deeply thankful to Dalit historian and an Ambedkarite thinker, Professor Dr. L. Karunyakara sir, for chairing the session, and eminent Professor of Sociology, Professor Malik sir, for delivering an enlightening lecture on understanding social exclusion and inclusion. Professor Malik sir has rightly insisted that social exclusion should be understood on the basis of social structure. And social identity plays a very important role in the process of social exclusion as well as social inclusion. Both social exclusion and social inclusion are structured in its very nature. For the Professor Malik sir, when any kind of social exclusion happens, it reflects the failure of a social structure. Sir has highlighted that social interaction forms the social structure. Here in India, caste-based exclusion in the example of lack of proper interaction and lack of interdependence in between various castes. It sparks the process of caste-based social exclusion in Indian society. We are deeply thankful to the kind presence and kind words of distinguished Professor of Sociology, Professor Nirakar Malik sir, in this session also. Along with this, we extend our sincere gratitude to all the participants, attendees of 18th online lecture of KIDK lecture series. Special appreciation goes to the coordinator, Dr. Sukeshni, Dr. Darshana Mesram, Dr. Smita Bhagat, Mr. Akash Kobragade, Mr. Shreyat and Mr. Vijay Kumre for their dedicated efforts. Launched on Ambedkar Jayanti 2025, this series continues to enrich Dalit knowledge studies. Thank you for your valuable participation. Lastly, we kindly request you to subscribe to the Dalit Knowledge YouTube channel, where this recorded session will be uploaded soon. Jai Bhim. The session is over.